and can be stored in any form. You can actually even store Bitcoins in a physical type form, or you can store them offline, off the internet, on a computer or digitally if you want to. Now, somebody on here is saying, you know, I heard that the drug and sex trade is making this as a way to pay for or launder money. Brian, I would actually say the same thing about the U.S. dollar. How many people have snorted cocaine with Bitcoins? I would say 0. You know, how many people have snorted cocaine with the $100 bill? Quite a few people, I'm sure. How many, you know, strippers have paid for, you know, whatever services and stuff like that? Now, I'm saying that to be somewhat facetious, but also because that argument of, well, if it's used for illegal stuff, then it, you know, it should be illegal. Well, you know, that's pretty much every other currency on the planet then. Number 2, they did take down the, there is a site that dealt with Bitcoins because it was touted as, you know, it's an anonymous site. And it's an anonymous way to pay for stuff. And they took that site down and they seized all of his money and all that stuff. So that's actually been removed from the equation on there, just so you guys know. Removed from the equation. So anyways, that's what Bitcoins are. Now, how does it work? Basically, Bitcoins are generated over the internet. Essentially, anybody with a free software application can be a Bitcoin miner, and all they do is they hook up this software in their computers. They have some really highly powerful processing, their video cards. You have to use video cards for this. ASIC processing. And it requires a certain amount of work to produce a Bitcoin. They're basically running all these mathematical equations until they can hit the right answer. If they hit the right answer, they get the Bitcoins. Now, a certain amount of Bitcoins are released within a time period. It's around 10 minutes or so. And there's only going to be 21 million in existence, and that's it. So they can't just inflate Bitcoin values. Now, the system adjusts to produce Bitcoin at a predictable rate as people are producing these things and hashtags and stuff like that until they can get the coins. Now, mining's pretty cool, but there's a lot of different ways that you can make money with it. Bitcoins can be stored, like I said, in a digital wallet, online or offline. The transactions themselves are verified by multiple miners. So if I send somebody money, multiple people verify that that transaction is taking place and that everything is where it should be before the money is actually released and moved over from one person to another. Bitcoin software is open source, so it's a lot harder to hack because everybody can look and see the way it runs, so people can point out flaws to it at any time. Transactions are anonymous. Now I'm gonna say something about the anonymous thing real quick. Transactions are anonymous with Bitcoin to a certain point. Now, if I transfer money to, let's say, somebody on this webinar right now, there is always going to be a record of point A sending point B money. Okay. Now, what's anonymous is who is point A and who is point B, right? So there's always a transaction of where money goes from one point to another to another to another. It's called a blockchain, and it's basically how they can account for where money has gone and moved to and who has the money, right? But it's anonymous in that nobody knows who the actual people on each side of the transaction are. That's how the anonymous nature of it goes through. Now, the transactions are recorded, can be seen by anybody by looking at blockchain transactions, stuff like that. You don't even have to know about any of this stuff, okay, in order to do what we've been able to do with it. But I do want to explain to you kind of how it works because a lot of folks have some interesting questions with it. Now, Bitcoins right now, on the spot, can actually be used to purchase music, software, hosting, groceries. You can buy houses with it, cars, PayPal. You can buy a Tesla with it, video games, all sorts of stuff, folks. $100,000 was traded through Vancouver, which is the very first ATM in North America, within the very first week, right? Within the very first week. And that's some pretty awesome stuff, right? I think it's amazing. Now, eventually, we're actually going to be taking some Bitcoin as well as payments. We're just trying to get it set up to our processor and stuff like that right now. And, you know, it's a viable source of getting paid. Now, you can accept the payment in Bitcoins, and it's instantly transferred to whatever type of dollar or currency you want to and when it hits your bank account. So it doesn't matter if you accept Bitcoins or not. It's not going to be worth less tomorrow because it's automatically converted into money into your bank account, whatever kind you want to. So as a merchant that's accepting it, it doesn't hurt you at all. In fact, it just gives people another payment alternative, just like PayPal gives them a payment alternative. Now, there's other things that Bitcoin has to offer out there. Now, I talked to you a little bit about mining. And that's how Bitcoins are created, by people who are mining Bitcoins. Just think of them as people who are kind of mining gold, right? And you've got these Bitcoin exchanges. Now, multiple exchanges exist on the internet. Now these exchanges will change dollars, euros, yuan, or any other type of money into cryptocurrencies. That's what a Bitcoin is. Now there are other type of currencies out there other than Bitcoin that have come up after Bitcoin that are kind of modeled on the same system. And some of those currencies are kind of cool as well and can be a very good investment. And I have some money in some of those other currencies. But we're going to talk about Bitcoin right now. Now you can buy and sell Bitcoin on these currencies in exchanges, just kind of like at a stock exchange. Now what's insane about this is that this is a stock exchange that's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no bank hours, no stock trade hours. This thing's always on, and people are trading on it every single second of every single day. That's insane, guys. It doesn't turn off, so it's always going on. Now, you can set some auto-triggered buy and sell orders here and there, so if it hits a certain amount, it'll buy or sell for you and whatnot. But there's a lot of other stuff that you can do with these exchanges. Now, the reason I think it's the future of money is it's not tied to a government. It's immune from inflation in that we can't create any more Bitcoins after they're created. Fiat currencies continue to lose money while Bitcoin continues to increase in value at exponential rates. And it's 100% secure, meaning decentralization means you can't kill it. So if the U.S. government or if another government just outlaws it and says, this isn't good, it doesn't matter. It's still going to run independently of all these other countries and all these other places. And if they try to ban it, it's just going to probably fuel the fire for a lot of people wanting to invest in it even more as a source of, or a place that they could put their money that the government can't reach it at, right? There's a lot of things that people look at like that. Now here's the technology life cycle. I want you to look at this because this is pretty valid for most new technologies that are out there. This is a new technology lifestyle. Now, as you see, or life cycle, as you see right here at the top, transitional old age currencies are right here. This is basically fiat currency or paper money. It's been cruising along for a long, long time here. And as you see, we've been starting to see this big, huge drop in the actual value of it. As you see right here, this is technology life cycle, and it's kind of Bitcoin was kind of moving along, and then boom, it started jumping up. Now, where we're at on this actual cycle is right at the bottom. Okay, it's got a long way to go up there. And some people are predicting that it could be worth as much as $40,000 to $100,000 per Bitcoin in the very near future. Okay, in the very near future. Now, I saw it jump from, when I got involved, which was around $50, $60, all the way up to it was trading at $829 right before this webinar. $829. Okay, that's huge. And anybody who invested some money, I'm going to show you here in a minute how much money you could have made if you had invested at certain different points of time in the last few months to the last year, is crazy stuff. All right, so do you guys see this kind of plateau stage? Now, this is some of the currencies right here. Now, big question is, and the reason you guys are on this webinar, obviously, is how do you make money with it quickly and easily? And this is kind of what happened. With Bitcoins, we started looking at, okay, well, these things are pretty cool, and they're gaining value, and they're gaining value, and we want to get involved. We want to make some money off of this. I want to put some money in to invest in it. So we looked at different things that you can do with it. Now, the first way was, what's better than free, right? If I'm Bitcoin mining, then I'm basically getting free Bitcoins if I'm finding them, right? Well, the problem with that is that as more Bitcoins are released, the equations and the actual mathematical formulas for finding these coins becomes harder and harder. So you have to buy more expensive gear, which is, this stuff is super expensive to buy, guys. And you have to spend more money in power costs. You actually have to power these machines, right? Well, power can be rather expensive, right? Especially when something's running for a long, long time and you've got a lot of racks doing it. And so it becomes a way of kind of, it's hitting a kind of a plateau point. Mining days, as far as a lot of people are concerned, are over. You have to invest in a lot of hardware, and you got to invest in a lot of resources to do it. It takes a lot of resources to mine. There's a lot of expensive equipment. I just mentioned power costs. Bitcoin's decentralization makes it volatile, so you're going to be spending a set amount of money in all of this equipment and in the power to do it and to mine the coins. And once you set it up, it's easier because it just runs on autopilot the whole time, but you have to pay for it. The problem is that if you're paying all this money for it and then Bitcoin takes a big drop, you're sitting there holding the bag on all this equipment that you just invested money in, and Bitcoin may not even be worth the value of that anymore. There's large swings up and down in relation